feel like H-Post is going to love this
Lord,
one.
baby, put them up. H-Post ain't going to be happy.
Let's talk about Texas' schedule going into this season. Open up the year August 30th on the road. Week 1, very big announcement. We know that we are going to see College Game Day and Fox Sports. Is this going to be where also SEC Unfiltered starts the year? Major question. August 30th. San Jose State, then UTEP, then you get the bye week before you play Sam Houston State. Then you go travel to the Swamp against Florida. I've talked about this game a lot. I think it is one of the most slept on overall matchups in college football this year for so many different reasons. Red River Shootout in Dallas, Texas versus Oklahoma. We know what that game is going to be. Then you get to go travel on the road once again to play against Kentucky. Then you get to face off against Mississippi State. Welcome back home. You play against Vanderbilt. Then you go get a bye. Then you go on the road after a bye week to play Georgia, Arkansas, then close out your year at home against Texas A&M. So, Dave, I'm just going to throw us out there. What is the most winnable conference game in your opinion?
I think it's at Mississippi State. I just think Texas, again, they lost 4 starters on the defensive line, but I still think from what I've heard about Mississippi State, what I've heard about Mississippi State's offensive line, the front this year is a major concern. I still think Texas will have some major success against them. So I think that'll be their easiest game in conference.
I think Arkansas. And the reason why is because of this game is going to be played in Austin, and we will know, I think at this point, the status of Sam Pittman. Is Sam Pittman back for another year, which I'm not sure he will be. I don't know what's going to happen with the rest of the personnel. I have major questions when it comes to the secondary. I have major questions when it comes to the offensive line. I have major questions when it comes to the literally everything outside of the running game, Taylor Green. And I love what you have in terms of Taylor Green. I think Taylor Green is going to be freaking awesome still. I'm very high on him. But how much buy-in is there going to be with your team maybe finishing off the year 3-9 or 4-8? I feel like with Mississippi State, it's a home game. It's one that you're not going to lose. I mean, it's one you're not going to win, but you want to play a certain brand of football. And I don't think that Texas is going to be sleeping on Diego Pavia coming into their territory. They're going to be well awake for that matchup. I think Arkansas, only because of, I'm not sure that they're going to have a head coach at that point.
Yeah, and they go to LSU the week before. It's not a bad one either.
Most exciting game going into this year. Just one game that you are very pumped to watch in person. Or just not in person, but overall.
That I'm fired up about?
Yeah.
I'm going to go. I mean, you're right, Bear. I mean, I think there's something to be said. Yeah. I mean, Texas, Florida is a good one. I think you're probably going to go with that one, so I'm going to go opposite here. I don't know. I mean, I know we've seen it a lot recently, but I think it's kind of Texas's game. Like, it's obviously not a must-win, but for me, it's a status game a little bit at Georgia. All right, it's just kind of like a status game. Like, hey, man, you're going to let these guys beat you 3 times damn near in a calendar year. Like, it's kind of like, hey, what's kind of your manhood? Can you drop your you-know-whats and go kind of defend yourself, say, hey, no, we're here to play with the top group of guys here. And again, I don't think it necessarily says Texas isn't. I think everybody agrees. Texas is a top 3 program in the conference right now. But it is kind of a manhood game right here. So I think kind of that one, it's an easy answer. I know we've seen it a lot, but say Texas would have beat Georgia in the SEC championship game last year, I'd probably go with the Texas at Florida one.
I'm not going Texas at Florida. I'm going to the one that we're probably going to, you, me, and Chris. And it's the one that we have talked about for a while. And it's the one that I believe is the greatest rivalry outside of the Iron Bowl. It's the Red River Shootout. It's 100% that game. Because of, imagine this for a second. I've already talked about both of these having slept on games. For Florida, let's say they were to lose that game to Florida. Well, you want to put belt to ass against Oklahoma in Dallas. You want to deliver as much pain as possible against your arch rival. And then if you're Oklahoma, if you were to beat Texas and you were to carry on that momentum going into the daunting schedule that comes after that matchup, I mean, you got to feel pretty good about your chances because I'm still really high on Texas's defense this year. I still think Texas is going to have really good weapons. I love what I have seen in terms of what I think that this unit can be with backups and with the rotational players. And I've talked about this a lot. I think that Texas is turning into what Alabama and Georgia were in terms of a city of, hey, we don't retool or rebuild, we just replace. There's just this mantra that's set in stone out in Austin that, hey, I get it. He's only played like 15 snaps. Well, he's going to be an All-American at the end of this year. Like, that's how I feel. But I just love this matchup. I think of this year because of John Mateer versus Arch Manning. what you're going to get in Ben Arbuckle's defense. Because I even told you last year, I was not high at all on the Seth Luttrell hire. I didn't think that was a good fit for what you had with Jackson Arnold. I love that you have a quarterback and an offense coordinator on both sides that have worked together for multiple years. So it's like, in my opinion, that game with that environment, with it being split down the middle and us being there, that to me is the most exciting game. Just far and away, because I think it will have the atmosphere and the trajectory of what it was supposed to be last season when I was hyping up what the rivalry always was.
Yeah.
3 must-win games in your opinion for Texas.
Must win. I'm gonna go Texas, Oklahoma. I'm gonna go Texas A&M, and I think Texas at Georgia. Those are mine. Again, for different reasons. I think Texas, Oklahoma, they're going to have to win one of those games. I mean, they need to win one of those big games. Again, it kind of speaks for itself. Texas A&M, I feel like Texas may have to win that game to get in late this year. I just think it's maybe a little bit of a feel, maybe to go to Atlanta too, if like it's going to have some kind of must-win opportunity. And I already explained the reason why Texas, Georgia earlier. I think it's kind of a manhood game. Losing those guys 3 times in one calendar year would kind of – I mean, Barry, you say they would be on Alabama and Georgia's level. I don't know if you could say that. If Georgia beat you, huh?
I don't think you can at that point.
I think this year kind of really tests that with Texas. If they go like 10-2, make the playoffs again, win a game in the playoffs, it's like, all right, that's 3 legitimate straight years in a row. And talk about what they lost on offense. So, yeah, I think that would be a total, reload at that point. But those would be my 3.
I'm not going to put Oklahoma on here only because of everyone knows that it's a must-win game. Like, for Oklahoma fans, it's a must-win game to beat Texas, and half the time you don't beat them. And it's a must-win game for you to beat Oklahoma, and half the time you don't beat them. So I'm not throwing that on there. Ohio State, and the reason I say that is because of they're breaking in a brand new quarterback. That's not the thing that they're breaking in. They're breaking in 2 brand new play callers in Matt Patricia defensively, and you also have Brian Hartline. So I'm sorry. Like, in my opinion, when you have Ryan Wingo, when you have a defense that's going to feature 2 of the better cornerbacks in the SEC with Jalen Gilbo moving on into the nickel, and if he's got to play on the outside, I think Malik Muhammad is going to be a really good player. You have Mookie Taft. You have 2 of the best pass rushers in Trey Moore and Colin Simmons. You should win that game. I get it's in the shoe. I understand that it's a non-conference matchup. It does nothing for you when it comes to the overall outlook on you going to Atlanta. But I just think it's a tone setter, especially with Arch Manning versus what you have in Julian.
You think if they lose this game, they don't go to the playoffs?
I don't think if they lose that. I don't think if they lose that game, but I feel way better about them losing 2 conference games and still being in the playoff versus them losing to Ohio State. That's
from a must-win standpoint. I still see a path Texas gets to the playoffs to the SEC championship, even with a loss to Ohio State. Again, I like Texas early, but
maybe, but I still think that's a must-win game. I throw in Georgia because of, like you said, it all comes down to just the fact of, hey, you gotta, if you want to prove or act like that you are one of the most complete teams in the SEC, if not college football, and you're right up there with Bama, and you're right up there with Georgia, and the way that they recruit and the way that they do too much stuff, like, to me, that's where I think that you separate yourself and you kind of prove and set the tone of, hey, we know how damn good we are. We know how special we can be with this staff, with our recruits, with the way that we're developing talent. And it gives you that bragging right because you also get to play that game in Sanford Stadium where Georgia doesn't lose. Like Georgia's lost 1 game there in the last 6 years. And it was an unranked South Carolina team. Like they don't lose when they play at Sanford Stadium. And then I go Texas A&M because of, again, Texas A&M has had a 12-year advantage over you when it comes to recruiting and when it comes to playing in the SEC and going up against this level of talent. And I just want to shove it down, and you just want to shove it down their throat by saying, hey, you had 12 years to be better than us and you still couldn't do it. What does that say about you? What does that say about your identity? What does that say about the way that you go about recruiting? And by the way, you can't blame it. Oh, well, last year you had the home field advantage. We come to our house and we beat you by double digits once again. Like, I just feel like that's one of those games going into the end of the season, whether they're 10-2 or whether they're 11-1, they just want to win that game because they want to shut up A&M. Like, that's just it.
No, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, so me and you had 2 of the 3 the same.
I want to change it up just a little bit. Because Oklahoma, I'm not putting it in there. Because if I tell an Oklahoma fan, hey, it's a must-win game against Texas, yeah, no shit. If I tell Texas fans it's a must-win game, yeah, no shit. Like, They know it is. And they know that also somebody is coming away with a loss. They're going to be disappointed. Ceiling.
We'll go 11-1. I think it's pretty easy. I think 11-1.
It's 11-1. They will lose a game. I don't know if it's week 1 to Ohio State. I don't know if it's in the Swamp. I don't know if it's in Red River. But they will lose one game. They will. Because I think every team in college football this year is going to lose at least one game. That's just the bottom line for me. Floor.
I'm going to go 8-4 just because as much production as they have to replace and just say injury bug hits you, again, not Oklahoma level, but even a little bit close to that. You're getting a little bit too close to the stove and it burns you a little bit. Yeah, I mean, you're requiring a lot of freshmen to step up and play big minutes in an extended season. Yeah, I mean, I could see you lose to Ohio State, you lose at Florida, you lose to Oklahoma, and you lose at Georgia. I mean, those are 4 losses. Yeah, I mean, you have some injury bugs, things don't pan out. Certainly. I think Texas's ceiling floor is pretty, to me at least, pretty easy to define. I think 11-1 and 8-4.
I think 9-3. And the main reason why is because they're just gonna wake up for a game to where people maybe feel like, hey, this is the end. Like they had their run last year, they replaced him, and then they're gonna shut people up. Like I just don't see a scenario where, like, let's say they lose to Florida and then they lose to Oklahoma, but then they're like, nope, we're not doing this. We're not going 9-3.
What if Texas 4-2 after their first 6?
So you're saying that losses to either
Let's just say they lose to Ohio State and they split Florida, Oklahoma.
I still think 9-3. I don't think that they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna lose.
You feel good about them making the playoffs if they're 4-2 after their first 6?
I go 50-50.
You're essentially saying you got to win out.
That Georgia game. Okay, here'd be the thing. Let's say that you were
Georgia or A&M.
Yeah, but let's beat A&M, but you lose to Georgia, by 3. I think that there's enough backing with a win over Ohio State. Because you have to beat either.
I said lost to Ohio State. Oh, you're saying if it is a win.
No, but I'm saying, let's say they beat Ohio State.
Yeah.
They beat Ohio State, and their losses are to Georgia, Oklahoma, and Florida. Let's say that also Florida is 9-3, or they're 10-2. Let's say that Oklahoma is 9-3, or they're 10-2, and Georgia's in the college football playoff. Those are 3 enough convincing losses to me to where I can say, you know what? If we are picking a 9-3 team and Texas A&M was ranked when you played them and Vanderbilt maybe was ranked when you played them, and who the hell knows whether Florida what they are or Oklahoma what they are, it's good enough to get you in the playoff. Like, yeah. I could still see that.
At 9-3, yeah,
crazy, but I feel like it's possible.
No, you're right, Bear. Crazier things have happened. They probably need Ohio State to win the Big Ten, like you said, Oklahoma and Florida to hit the over on a Vegas over-under standpoint and be pretty good.
But I think 9-3 is their floor because I don't see them losing Ohio State, Georgia, Oklahoma, and Florida. I see them potentially losing 3 of those games, but I don't see them losing 4. Now, I don't know when that happens. I don't know if that is because of it's a road game, they're too tired. Maybe, again, an injury occurs because that's college football. You can't predict those things. But I do think that they will be better than this 9, and I think that they will be better than 8-4. There's just no way I can buy into that outside of that.
Yeah.